I'm going to take you through the entire cottage kitchen renovation from start to finish, from the first walkthrough to planning the layout, demo, install, and all the troubleshooting in between. This is the full story of how this kitchen came together, so cozy up and let's get into it. Sometimes when I'm looking at designing a space, I feel overwhelmed. I think it might be akin to writer's block. But other times I can walk into a space and immediately I can see in my head what needs to happen. I can picture colors, layouts, natural light, furniture placement. It's something that I take for granted most of the time until I try to explain my plans to somebody else and I realize that not everyone can visualize things in their head. It does make designing easier, but as I said, I don't always immediately see what I should do in a space. And this kitchen kind of falls into that category. It's not an easy space, and figuring out how to make it work is definitely going to give me a run for my money. But when I struggle with an awkward space and a lack of direction, I have to search for external sources of inspiration like Pinterest, magazines, sometimes shopping, and oftentimes inspiration can come from unexpected places. So when you walk in the back door, you've got the kitchen, which I don't think any of this was originally kitchen area. The first thing I'm going to work on is going to be this area right here. I'm not a big fan of this industrial look. And at the very least, I'm going to be changing out the hardware, painting these cabinets. I see why they left this open. I could get my cabinet guy to make some doors for this, but then I just think about it being kind of imposing. So I'm back and forth, but I've also kind of thought about the idea of adding some trim right here that matches and just making it look like open shelving. Right now they look like cabinets with the doors missing, which is what they are. This refrigerator is just way too much for right here. I think what I want to do is take this out, go for a smaller fridge, and kind of incorporate a little bit of counter space over here. I am human. I have done it before. I have started projects without thinking them through, and either they never got finished or they got put on the back burner for literally years. Nobody wants that, but especially not in a kitchen. I cannot start this kitchen and not be able to finish it, so planning is paramount. I'm working on a really tight budget for the entire house, but my goal for the budget on this kitchen is $2,000. With that budget, I've got to purchase paint and supplies, a new section of cabinets and countertops, and a new refrigerator. I'm going to be reusing a few things from previous renovations, and I'm not including them in the budget. That's going to include some cabinet hardware, as well as some leftover tile that I will be using to replace that galvanized metal backsplash that I hate. I don't know what your view on Pinterest is, but it is a pretty great interior design resource. It's a whole lot more consolidated than using something like Instagram or TikTok, and you can find real-world examples of things that you have in your head. I'm looking for inspiration that has at least some elements that align with things that exist in the kitchen. The shape of the room, ceiling height, entrances and exits. Where can I place cabinets? Can I move anything? I am looking for a look, but the inspiration photos need to put in the work. They need to help me explain to anyone helping on the project what I'm looking for, and oftentimes I make notes on them to remind myself what it was about that photo that I really liked. And let's be real, there are limitations. I do not have an unlimited budget. I can look at all the inspiration photos I want to, but I simply cannot create everything that I would like to create. But I guess who can, really? I mean, we all have limitations. You could be in an apartment or a rental, your budget, your skill set. But if I can do this, anybody can. But I have found over the years, the tighter the budget, the better the result. I know that sounds crazy, but necessity breeds creativity every time. I've been laying out paint samples, and I'm going to be using some Farrow and Ball colors in the new house. I ordered a couple samples, so there's yellow in the small room, which is all kind of be an extension of the kitchen, but I want to tone that down. But I still think yellow is a great color for a house in this time period. So yeah, I ordered these two, and I don't know if this will show up good on camera, but this is Farrow and Ball cord. It does have a yellow hue to it, but the kitchen windows are like southwest facing, so it's really bright in there. And I think there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 windows in that room. So it's just got a lot of light, and I don't like this color in bright light. The color I'm gonna go with is Farrow and Ball. It's called Hay. And you can see examples of people using that in kitchens all over. I still have these polished nickel handles, and I'll be using those in the little house. I've come back to this one picture again and again while I've been in the planning phase for a couple reasons. The floors are gray, and we're not going to be changing the tile in the kitchen at this time. Also, the combination of the yellow and the stainless on the countertops really works together to create almost an Art Deco feel, which is the era of this house. So I'm going to be sticking with this idea and adding to that. One thing that's given me a lot to think about is the layout of this kitchen. It's really made me have to think outside the box, no pun intended. I initially thought about trying to move the kitchen, but then reality check, I don't have the budget for that. But I really believe in the use of kitchen zones instead of that traditional kitchen triangle. I basically want to break this room up. It'll help with flow, and my goal is to create a kind of drink station around the refrigerator, which I'm going to be placing in the room off of the kitchen. It's going to add functionality to this otherwise awkward space. Just imagine all those times that you're cooking and somebody comes in and wants to grab a drink. This way, they're never going to be in your way. I'm a big advocate for pushing the refrigerator outside of the kitchen triangle. I thought I would just go through, I think, what the punch list is going to be for today, because we don't have a lot of demo here. We're doing very few demo things. We're not doing any flooring. I don't mind the gray tile. It wouldn't be my pick, but it is in good condition, and it's not the worst thing in the world. And obviously we're not doing anything with the original hardwoods. I might give them a good wax, but we're gonna take down the backsplash here, this galvanized metal. We're gonna take down the shelf that looks kind of like a mantle that's over here. And then this big wall cabinet that's in the room adjacent to the kitchen. I may see if we have time to remove this cabinet, like I said, that's keeping the door from opening all the way. I just think it doesn't do it justice to not be able to open it. Mouse poos. That way, that way. Does that feel better? She can breathe. I don't think I want to stay real late tonight. I think I want to get up tomorrow and have a fresh start. What is that on that sink faucet? We're gonna hope that's jam. What should we do with this refrigerator?
Then we'll lower it. You put the table under it and we'll lower it down to that and then we can get off. Rancy's.
Who?
Rance.
You back there?
He's right here.
Hello.
Here, I'll push. Oh gosh, I don't know what that was. Just get it. Just get it. We'll rip it. No, put the drill down.
The wall color is all going to be Benjamin Moore's Floral White for now. It's a nice, neutral, creamy white, and most importantly, it's paint we already have, so it's not going to impact the budget. Backsplash tiles going up today, and we're getting there. Like, it's not that bad, it's just a lot of pieces. I know I mentioned making working zones in the kitchen when I was working on the plans, but I'm also making each zone have its own personality. I want it to look like a historic home that has evolved over time. And in a way, I feel like the quirky layout really adds to that. The more we work on it, the more I'm loving it. I am so glad I did not move the kitchen. That really goes along with what I said earlier. I feel like when I have a limited budget, I end up happier with the outcome. It really keeps me from making any rash decisions. Everything has to be thought through very carefully. The more money I have to spend, the more likely I am to do something stupid. We may be in the thick of it, but I'm still having to make choices every single day, and I'm referring back to the vision board, my Pinterest board. All those things that I created in the very beginning are invaluable right now to keep me on track with creating what I feel like this house deserves and seeing it through. I want to infuse as much cottage character into this kitchen as I possibly can without making it look cheesy or cheap or overdone. It's not about creating perfection. Looking at the inspiration photos keeps me motivated. The last thing I need right now, while everything is a mess, is to forget what the goal is. The hardest part about every renovation is just being overwhelmed. If you can get past that, keep the end in mind, and stay on track, you're over halfway there. There's a huge difference between just doing a DIY project and actually renovating a functional room in your home. It is definitely a mind game, and since I'm trying to create a cottage kitchen with budget IKEA cabinets, I really need to make sure I'm constantly looking at my inspiration photos to stay on track. Kind of rough layout. This is where that's going to be the yellow. These are all going to be white, so that's drawers, drawers, drawers. Pull out trash can. And you can see, like, before the oven was like around here and it opened like into the, but now it's way over here, so you have plenty of room. We've shifted the oven over to make room for this section of cabinets, and even though I went with IKEA cabinets, there were still ways that I cut costs. First of all, I'm never a big fan of corner cabinets. I feel like they waste a lot of space. And yes, when they're empty, you lose that storage, but I feel like people don't utilize them. And if you look at corner cabinets on a plan, they actually extend down the wall no matter which way you look at it. You can kind of bring that corner in tighter and make each adjacent cabinet more functional. I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to explain that better. I don't want to do a full IKEA tutorial. If you have questions about IKEA cabinets and installation, design, you can definitely comment below. I'll be happy to help you out. But I did go with drawers instead of doors to maximize storage space. And when you're on the IKEA kitchen planner and you do drawers, they're going to add these glass panel sections to each side of the drawer. They're very handy when you have small items in a drawer. But if you're stacking large things, they're not necessary at all. And I did choose to remove them from all the cabinets, and that did save money. It automatically puts them on there, and you have to manually take them off. But that's one way I saved some money because we're on a seriously tight budget here, and everything that we do is important. I'm keeping a close track on every dollar that we spend and making sure we don't go overboard. My original plan was to try to paint these IKEA cabinets. I did get a finish that is, if I primed it correctly, it would be paintable, but I just decided that for my own sanity, I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to live with them being white and put the hardware on them and see how I feel. If you're like me and you like design in general, then you should be able to appreciate the end result here, even if it's something that you might not particularly want in your home. I'm gonna have to confess that I did not film vinyl wrapping the dishwasher, but it is done. I also got all the paint touched up and we got the tile grouted. We've faced a few challenges just because this room is not perfectly level nor square, but I think we've done well at overcoming them. I've got a piece of toe kick you can see. I've got to finish painting, but all in all, we're well on the way to a super beautiful on budget cottage kitchen. And I've done several things to make sure that I stay on budget because I've been prioritizing having real stone counters in this room. I think it'll make a huge impact. I did choose to use leftover materials and I was flexible on what stone I went with. I just wanted something neutral that really contrasted the black that was already around the kitchen sink, and I'm super happy with how they turned out and how they look with that yellow. I have been wanting wallpaper in this room since day one, but I wasn't able to find what I like in my price range. But thankfully, I was able to find perfect William Morris wallpaper. It was an outlet item from Jane Clayton, but I actually found it by searching for wallpaper outlet online. It was a great deal. It adds the perfect cottage vibe. I love the color. I'm always a sucker for blue. I love it with the yellow and the little pop of red. Leans back to that Art Deco feel that I mentioned earlier. I think it ties the whole room together, especially with the addition of some beadboard that I painted that same hay by Farrow & Ball. It adds a nice punch and it's fun and I'm in love with it. Even at this stage, with lots of pieces still coming together, my mind just keeps going back to where we started. And to think the only thing we haven't done ourselves is install the countertops. I'm super proud. I'm happy for us, and I'm really happy for the house. I know that sounds cheesy, but I am. I'm not trying to be whiny, but this really is not fun. It's been sitting for a couple days, wrapped in plastic with some citrus strip on here. Thankfully, it hasn't all dried out, but I'm gonna recoat it and then we'll let that sit and then try to remove all of it with some acetone. It'd be so cool if I could like get it done and then have it painted and ready to hang by this afternoon. All right, say a little prayer that this is my final coat. It's for my sanity, it needs to be. Way better than it was. If I get it smoothed out, I think it'll be good to go. This door is just as important to the kitchen renovation as every other piece, and one big reason for that is because the kitchen currently doesn't have a door. When I started stripping this door, I took it down and it's got put on the back burner. There is a storm door on this entrance, but I have got to get this door finished. Watch this. I don't want to leave my phone outside and I haven't eaten breakfast, so I'm gonna go get me something to eat and then see y'all back here in about an hour. Welcome back. Today is gonna be a lot of different things, mainly styling, because I've got to figure out a way to incorporate everything that I have. You can see I did get the door finished and painted, installed. We have went for one of the Yale door locks. I cannot tell you the color because this is actually a color match of the windows that we put in our house when we remodeled it. I was trying to think, I think they were a, I cannot remember the name of the color. It's cloudy today, it looks kind of gray. Let's see if I can. I don't know if that's any better or not. We're so close to being done, I cannot take it. Today we're going to be swapping out the faucet in the kitchen to polished nickel, which will match the hardware on the cabinets. The refrigerator is also arriving today. I'm going to be doing a lot of styling and just a lot of finishing touches. I think that looks better. Well, if that's not a dose of reality, I don't know what is. I'm not trying to focus on the negative, I promise. I'm just trying to show you guys how this really went. I'll leave it at that. You can see what happened. All it is frustration, but in the end, we handled it and everything's fine. I'm so excited with how the kitchen turned out within the budget that I had to work with. I feel like everything is really in keeping with the style of the house, and I cannot wait to continue to improve things. I want to add a lot of decor, but let me show you around. I'm happy with the cottage character I've been able to add to the kitchen. I think the style is very appropriate for the house. It feels very comfortable. It feels very welcoming. I've added a small seating area right inside the back door, which kind of functions as a place to sit down a purse, take off your shoes. And I really think, truly, the quirky layout in here adds to the historic character of the house. I don't feel like a traditional layout kitchen would feel right in this historic cottage. I know that a lot of you suggested I not put a cabinet on the counter, but because this is pretty shallow, I think it works well. It doesn't block any light in here, and you still have a lot of prep space. And I'm trying to go through and label everything. This has worked really well for things like spices. And I've just got some cookbooks, a couple tools. I just cannot explain how much I love that wallpaper though. But it was so hard to do. I guess y'all saw me do that. I really love the yellow in here. And especially in this area because we did leave the sink as it was. Wrapping the dishwasher, I think, looks so good. And then I still want to get a table or something to add to this room, but hopefully you can kind of make sense of the layout here. Drink station, ice maker. I've achieved every goal I set out to achieve with a few compromises along the way, but we were able to stay within about $300 of our original $2,000 budget. I think considering the fact that we reworked the entire layout, moved appliances, countertops, new sections of cabinets, it's a total transformation, and I'm seriously proud of the budget I was able to achieve here. It's taken a lot of work, and there's still more I want to add, but for today, I get to feel accomplished.